1,000 horsepower.
At the tires.
At the tires.
On pump gas.
Whoa, a Manta. It's hard to believe that, you know, you have this in the same building as you've got a Shoebox Ford custom car. It's like, you play all 88 keys on the keyboard.
I try. That is free to anybody who wants to do something with it. It
Free?
would make a fantastic drift car.
You don't get much cheaper than that. Finding barn finds, you know, it doesn't take a rocket science to figure it. If you ride up and down roads, you might find a car in somebody's yard. My son made me aware of this, that, you know what, Dad? You can find cars digitally. Just go to my Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist or eBay and find cars that are just hiding in plain sight that you'd never find if you were just gonna ride up and down the roads. So Hayden has invited us over here, actually his wife Stacy invited us over here, to find a car that they have posted on Craigslist. And I thought it was an interesting enough car to drive to a remote Detroit neighborhood to see the car and meet Hayden and find out how he got it, why he's selling it, and what he knows about it. And then I see all this other stuff, so this is only gonna be the beginning. Thanks for inviting us over here.
Pleasure to have you.
You got a cool shop, man.
Thank you, yeah. I've been following you guys for a long time, so it's cool to finally meet you.
So this car's on Craigslist right now. So this car is for sale right now.
It is.
How much is it?
I listed it for 10. It's now down at 5. No takers.
So it's like,
no
it's like a reverse auction.
Yeah.
Auctions usually go higher.
Yeah, I mean,
it's going lower.
I don't know what it's worth, but it's got a cool history. To me, it's a piece of, you know, Americana folk history.
It's a 46 Ford?
It's a 46 Ford.
Okay.
That's what the VIN frame says. So it's first year after the war.
Yep.
And I have all the trim, and some of the trim is 45, some is 46. I don't know why, if it came out of the factory like that. I found it. I have a friend who's a blacksmith here in Detroit, and he called me, and he was at a yard sale in Boston Edison District and said, hey, I'm at this yard sale. The owner's passed away. His son is selling all of the guy's hoarder stuff, and there's a garage here with 2 old cars in it. You should come and check it out. So I talked to the owner's son, who's probably in his early 60s, and he said the garage hasn't been opened in over a decade. So I got the door open. His father was a hoarder, so I opened the door. I immediately see the back of a 65 Mustang, but it's got a wardrobe piled on top of it, and a bed, and all this other stuff. And the garage is completely packed. And I struggle my way in, and I see over in the other bay of the garage, I see the back quarter of this thing, and it's got a wardrobe, and it's just got stuff piled all over it. And I walk around, and I notice it's got this Gets Geared sticker on the window, and Gets Geared was 60s hot rodding company. So I thought, that's interesting. I get the hood open, expecting to see a flathead that has a nail head in it. I looked up the codes. I've forgotten exactly what it is, but it's a mid-50s. I get the door open, and it's got a floor shift, manual transmission.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, that's weird.
Yeah.
So I end up doing like a deal with the owner, which is kind of like storage wars. It's like, okay, I'll give you X amount of money for everything that's in the garage, and I'll clear it out.
Including the wardrobes?
Including everything. It's like he was selling the house, so it's like it needs to be empty. It's like, okay, you get a dumpster. I'll throw everything away that's not of any value. I'll take anything that is of value. And we did a handshake deal. It was all original. And as far as I could tell, talking to the owner, he remembered playing in this car when he was a kid in that garage. So it had been in that garage for at least 50 years. I'll show you on the other side. It also had a tow bar on the front, which is leaning against the car there. That was still attached. And on the back window, it has in tape, vehicle in tow. So it was towed to that garage from Alabama. So the last time this thing was on the road was probably around 75, and then it was towed to a garage in Detroit. All I've done is like wash the dust off of it. And then I brought it in here, and I put it on the lift, freed the wheels so I could roll it around. These are the tires that it sat on, and they're still holding air.
Wow.
And then it's like, all right, let me see if I can get it to run. It sort of ran. The starter was kind of shot, so I put a more modern starter on it, and I did points and plugs and all that sort of stuff, and fired right up. It's like, all right, so now it runs and it moves. Let me see if the clutch and trans work? Put some oil in, yep, and move it forwards and backwards. Okay, has it got brakes? Had no pedal. I just put fluid in the reservoir and pumped it a few times. Brakes worked.
Voila,
and I
man.
drove it around the parking lot. And that's it. You know,
And how long ago was that?
That was 2 years ago. That was 2 years ago.
So your intention was maybe to fix it?
I'm a hot rodder, maybe fix it. You know, if I was going to keep it, I would pull the body. I'd do a full restoration on the frame, engine, trans, rust-proof the bottom of the body, put it back on, put a decent interior on it, and leave it looking pretty much exactly like this, and just run it. Looking through the thing, so given its history and looking how this modification was done, this was either a very early hot rod or a very early race car, or it was a moonshine car. And there's no way for me to know. This is a piece of American folk history.
So, I mean, you've decided, okay, I've got enough going on with my other cars. You don't need it.
Yeah, and I would like someone to, you know, do something to it that pays homage to its history. I mean, hot rodders love these things, but I don't think it would be the best thing to, you know, bare shell restore it.
No,
I mean, it's been cut up, and the stuff that's in there is interesting and has a history.
But you know, I'm talking to the people here watching. That, you know, like this is the makings of a hot rod. This is a hot rod. It was a hot rod.
Yeah.
And it's a solid car. So you wouldn't butcher an original car to make a hot rod. This is already a hot rod. A couple of weekends of cleaning this thing out, cleaning it up, you could probably make it a driving car.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it runs, drives, brakes, not well. But you know, I originally got it running on a plastic fuel bottle, but it's now running on fuel, on the fuel tank.
From the tank.
In the original lines.
So I think this just goes to show that, you know, checking out Marketplace and Craigslist and whatever, you find a gem once in a while, and I'd say this is a gem. Well, you've got some other cars here I want to take a look at too. So we came here to look at this, but I'm looking at that truck right there. Show us that truck if you would.
Let's walk around. I'll have to walk around to get the lights to trigger.
So do they go off occasionally?
Yeah, they go off. They're on motion sensors.
Oh, okay.
So I just have to walk over here and get them to come on.
So what year is this guy?
It's a 64. This is my wife's truck. I surprised her with this as a birthday present for a 40th birthday, and also as an engagement present. So
you got a cool wife.
She was living out here, and I was still in New Hampshire. We'd bought this building, and it was pretty much just empty. But she didn't know that I bought this from about 40 miles away in Michigan. And I drove it back, flew in, took an Uber, grabbed it, drove it over here, and I parked it in the back of the shop, and I put a big bow on it and some champagne in the back. And when she came in, I was upstairs, and I proposed to her, and she accepted, and I gave her the ring box. And I'd had a ring made by some friends that looked like a key ring. My wife is a huge Ford girl. Worked at Paul Russell, big into restoration, judging, you know, serious classic car stuff. So she got the ring out of the box, and it had a ribbon attached to it, and she pulled it out, and attached to the ribbon was a key. And she's like, "That's a Ford key. Well, let's go see if there's a Ford in the building."
Oh man,
and
what a romantic.
Yeah, and we walked around, and I had it parked back there, and yeah, this is my wife's truck, came out of Arizona, done nothing to it, clear coated, straight up patina. It's a Y block.
It's been pinstriped.
Yep, it was like this when I got it.
So there's a 352 or something in here? 292?
292. Yeah, and it's all original.
Automatic.
We can pop the hood. Thing drives great, other than it needs tires right now.
So if you have watched Barn Find Hunter lately, you know that we just dragged home a truck very similar to this. Did you know that?
I didn't.
We found the roof was originally convertible with an extended bed. Watch this week's episode.
Okay.
You'll dig it. But
yeah,
this is primo, man. So here are the keys, huh?
Yep.
You know, you've got the right kind of wife. If she accepted this as a gift for an engagement, it's amazing.
She loves this truck. She drives it all summer. We've got to put some tires on it, but other than that.
So let's say what it looks like.
There we go.
So you didn't have to do anything to it?
This is well, I've done maintenance work. I put a master cylinder on it and some lines, but this is exactly how I bought it.
Manual brakes, manual steering. So she's a driver if she likes that, boy.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, very cool car. So what is this? I mean, I'm seeing Audis. I'm seeing Audis and roll cages, and LS engines and velocity stacks. What do you do here?
I'm an industrial designer by training. My day job is I work for a company in Arizona called Bravaro. We do security products. That's my day job, but my whole life I've been building cars, racing. Started with motocross, dirt bikes, street bikes. Grew up in the UK watching rallying, so that's why I have a thing for Audis.
Yeah.
I like to go fast. I like horsepower. And I like to build stuff. So, in my industrial design, that's, it's very high-end engineering stuff. And I have a company, which is kind of mothballed now. I just do it for fun, building very high horsepower cars, high performance stuff. Doesn't matter what it is, Audi, Porsche, Ferrari, old stuff.
Well, can you show us this Audi over here? Because it looks so tough. I mean,
so all the Audis here are pretty rare.
Okay.
This is a 2003 Audi RS6, which came from the factory twin turbo V8.
And that was a 4-liter V8?
4.2 liter V8.
4.2, okay.
And this car donated its engine, prior to me getting hold of this car, donated its engine to another project that's in here. So I ended up buying this car without a front end. It had no motor, no trans. The front end had been sold. But they only ever brought 1,800 of these cars to the US in 2002 and 2003. And there's probably less than 400 of them left now, would be my guess. So one night, my intention was to get a 4.2 Audi V8 twin turbo, put it back to what it should be. One night I got drunk and said, you know what, let's do something different. And it doesn't have the engine covers on right now, so you can actually see what it is.
Shh, an LS. So you put in, wait a minute, so what kind of gearbox does it have?
This has, so it's a LS1, but it's fully built. It's a dart racing steel block, Molnar rotating assembly. Everything you could do. This is the third iteration of this engine. It's mated to a built Audi 01E transmission. Lots of work done on the trans, and then the rear diff is stock RS6. The brakes are stock RS6. Has KW V3 suspension on it. And
is it all-wheel drive?
It is all-wheel drive, 6-speed manual. It's also twin turbo, and the twin turbo is a remote mount at the rear. I don't know if you want to stick a camera under there, but
so you're pumping hot air out to a turbo in the back of the car, and then pumping cool air back in.
Yeah. So basically, that bank, the header here does a U, goes under the engine, joins a 4-inch collector on that side. There's a 4-inch pipe that goes to the back, that then splits into 2.5. So there's 2 turbos at the back, and an intercooler, and then there's a 3-inch pipe that comes forward into this custom-made Cobra head, feeding the boost into the motor.
And this is all your design?
Yes.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
What a hot rod.
1,000 wheel horsepower on pump gas.
1,000 horsepower at the
tires.
At the tires.
On pump gas. I haven't got into the race gas tuning yet. That's coming up this summer. But probably 1,500, 1,600
and it's just
horsepower.
and it's probably a docile car around town?
It's rowdy.
Is it
but it is docile. You can drive it, but it is rowdy. It looks like an RS6, but when you start it,
wow, what a tough one. That's cool. I see, roll cage.
Yeah, this is one of the first cars I built. This is a 1984 Audi 4000, and it was actually a rally car from its very early part of its life. Man. So it has some history, but I completely rebuilt it. So I built this for NASA German touring car, Time Attack.
Yep.
About 15 years ago, and I built it with a S4 V8 at that time. Campaigned it. The thing is fast. Again, 6-speed, all-wheel drive, light, weighs 2,700 pounds as it was.
Is this steel. Fabricated?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, everything in this is built. The whole floor is replaced. And this is a dedicated track car. So this thing will rev out to 9,500, about 480 horsepower, 6-speed, big fat tires. And I'm in the process of converting it from a 4-door to a 2-door, because we never got the 2 doors here. And it's also getting a Sport Quattro wide body, but I'm not doing the Coupe Quattro, I'm doing a sedan. And it should weigh around 2,200 wet when it's finished with the carbon body.
That's less than a Cobra.
Yeah, less than a Miata.
Oh, man. So what else you got that's intriguing?
Well, let's take a walk around. You saw my Healey. So
Yeah, I did.
As we mentioned before, I have too many projects, so I'm in the process of getting rid of them. So the Healey is going up for sale pretty soon.
Is it really? How long have you had that?
10 years. It's a survivor, never been restored.
So this is a side curtain car, so it's what, a 63 or older?
It's a 62 BT7 with the triple carb motor. Oop. I've done a lot of mechanical work on it, so all the suspension and bushings and brakes and everything else is new, but I haven't touched anything aesthetic. It was originally a green car. I have the heritage certificate for it. I've got a lot of paperwork for it. Sometime in around the early 80s, it was converted from green to black with a red interior. The car is very solid. It really has very little rust, but it needs inner sills and a couple of patches in the floor. And I have all the panels to do it, but I don't have the desire to do the work.
So it's just a good driver as is.
It's a perfect touring car.
Yeah.
It's like take it to an event, sit on the fender, don't worry about it.
Put your beer can right there.
Exactly. I mean, it's got dents, it's got patina, but it drives spectacularly.
You sure are varied in your love affairs here.
Yeah, I've got. You want to take a wander around?
I would. Yeah.
Stuff. Let's go this way first.
Whoa, a Manta. I remember those cars.
Yeah, this is a Steinmetz wide body 1970 Opel Manta race car. I don't know a ton of the history. It was apparently found in Chicago.
Really?
It was raced in Chicago in period. I took the motor out. I had the motor.
1.3.
It's a 1.9 dual Webers. It has a sticker on the motor that says tuned by Manta Parts, who were a big deal back in the day in the Chicago area. I've had the motor apart. It looks like it is a race motor. It's got race pistons and all sorts of stuff in it. But I picked this thing up a few years ago. And you know, you can hear my accent. I grew up with these sorts of cars in the UK. And the Steinmetz wide body is very rare. So I was going to build this as a vintage race car, but then I decided to do something else. So this is getting a Hayabusa turbo, motorcycle motor, sequential trans. The goal for this is to make it as light as possible. So sub 2,000 pounds.
So some people might not be familiar with Opel, but Opel was a product of General Motors in Germany. And as a kid, I remember going over to Germany to visit relatives, and Opels were all over the place. So they were like, you know, it was like the Chevy Nova of, of Germany. And so there was the Opel GT, which was like a little Corvette. There was Opel sedans, Cadets and things like that.
The Cadet is the same platform as this.
Yeah, and the Manta was like their sports coupe. And I used to race against these at Bridgehampton Race Circuit and places like that. Neat car, but they never had a lot of horsepower. They never quite made it.
It's a really strange engine. The engine is what's called cam-in-head, CIH, and it's a strange platform. They still race them successfully in Europe.
That's a cool car. You were lucky to find that. And you know, you'd imagine you'd find that in Austria, not in Chicago. All right, well, here's something else near and dear to me. We've got a couple of these in my garage. A Mini.
This is a 76. I had a Mini, a 1275 GT Clubman that I built as a rally car and would tear around it when I was 17 years old in the UK. And I always wanted another. And this thing just popped up on Craigslist. Floors are totally rotted out, but the rest of the structure is there.
And you're a fabricator, so you don't care about it.
I don't care. And the thing with Minis is you can buy every single part and every single panel.
Yep.
But of course, I'm not doing a restoration. This thing is probably going to get a Honda CRX all-wheel drive K24 swap. That's a kit that's available. You know, you just buy the subframes and bolt it in. But the cool thing about the vans is all the other Minis had like a chrome grille. And the story goes that the vans are the only Minis that had the original grille as Alec Isagonis designed it. They forced him to put a fancy grille on them, but the vans, he got his wish, and this is how he wanted the Mini to look.
This was a commercial vehicle. It says, I can see fresh, quality fresh, something, vegetables.
It came in from the UK at some point. I think it was a commercial vehicle in the UK, but I really don't know the history beyond that.
Yeah. This is a cool room. These are my favorite cars. All right, what else you got?
All right, let's keep going.
There's a good trip here so far. If you like these videos, you really should check out the Hagerty Drivers Club. You get 24/7 roadside assistance with flatbed towing, subscription to an award-winning magazine, and more. Sign up today. The link is in the description below. And I know somebody's going to say, how about that Camaro? You ignored that. You ignored that Audi. We can't look at everything.
But we'll just quickly glance at I'll show you the corner.
All right, don't, I didn't see it. I didn't see anything. I want to tell you what it is. You put it down again?
You know what it is by the shape, I'm sure.
Is this the front of the car?
This is the back.
Back. I think I know what that taillight is. Well, I would say it's a 49 or 50 shoebox with the correct taillights for a shoebox, but it seems like it's got 51. Yeah, there's a seam there. So it's got 51 Ford side.
This is my wife's car. She's a Ford girl. I'll let you peel it back.
Yep, look at that. So the 51 Ford side. Okay, this is a 51 Ford with different taillights.
Yep, this is a 51 shoebox. Very classic hot rod.
Wow. Jeez, how long has she had this?
3 or 4 years, and we bought this from somebody you know, David Marchioni. He's a good friend of ours.
Wow. David Marchioni was the gentleman that made it possible for us to visit the Detroit Historical Society warehouse with the famous bubble car collection. Wow, so that's a business coupe.
Yeah, and it's as classic hot rod as you can get. The dipstick is a dagger.
Wow. No door handle.
Flathead V8.
I love 51 Ford steering wheels and dashboards.
Yeah, it's a work of art.
Wow. So is this a runner driver?
Yep, this is a runner driver.
It would just take you a while to get it out of here, I guess.
Yeah, lots of things to move.
Mm-hmm.
It just needs a brief, quick service, and we'll be cruising this thing this summer.
Bubble skirts, very nice. Stock flathead?
Yep, stock flathead, 3 on the tree.
That's a good one.
If you want to see something quickly that's a little more modern and interesting, I'm going to come around this way. I'm just going to show you the engine on this thing. This is a 2007 Audi RS4, and this is a car I was building as a project for a customer. But this is a mock-up block, but this is all my work of building the headers, custom dry sump.
You build this?
Yep. So this is all super hand. The headers were all designed on computer and did CFD analysis for flow. So this thing on the dyno made north of 800 horsepower and 800 foot-pounds of torque, but it was making 800 foot-pounds of torque at like 2,500 RPM, flat line all the way out to red line.
800 foot-pounds of torque at 2,500.
Yeah. So this is the sort of stuff I like to do.
It's hard to believe that you have this in the same building as you've got a shoebox Ford custom car. It's like you play all 88 keys on the keyboard.
I try.
So I'm just curious. I see battery tenders all over the place. How long have you been working with battery tenders?
Oh, 20 years.
Really?
Yeah, long time.
You feel a loyalty towards that brand?
I do, yeah. Their stuff is good. Does exactly what it says on the tin. Plug it in. I've got singles, I've got 2 banks, I've got 6 bank ones. There's a 4 bank one over there that has 2 batteries plugged into it right now.
Yeah.
When you have a lot of cars lying around that you don't use, you gotta. I
feel the same way. They were the first one on the market. They put a good quality product out. The same way. Like when they said, "Guess who's your new sponsor for Barn Find Hunter?" I said, "Perfect. I love that brand anyway."
Yeah, yeah. It's good, and the fact that you can have long extensions.
Yep.
Makes perfect sense. We'll go see the more obscure stuff. And the lighting is bad back here.
Jeez, holy mackerel. I'd like to thank a new sponsor to Barn Find Hunter, Battery Tender. I've been a long-time customer for Battery Tender products. They keep your batteries charged. Now they have devices that inflate tires, that can jumpstart your car and invert power. If you'd like to buy one, you get a 20% discount for watching this program. Check the description below.
3 more Audis, 3 S6 Avants. Yeah. These 2 are for parts. The one next to the white Audi, I had fully restored it. It was immaculate, and these cars are rare. There was like only 1,000 of them brought in.
Right.
And it's black on black, totally immaculate, ready for my wife to use. And I went to Home Depot to pick up some parts and got rear-ended. And you can't get the part, so These other two are for me to cut up to get the parts.
Yeah, I'm a wagon guy too. Not an Audi, I'm a BMW wagon guy.
Yeah, I think wagons are fantastic things. And then this will eventually be our main shop.
So was this representative of what the whole place was like?
Yeah, getting the roof done on this building.
Do you bring help in here to help you with this?
Yeah. So this is my wife's Morris Minor. It's done for. We were actually going to body swap it onto a Miata, but this is going to become some form of sculpture in this big giant building. I mean, hang it on the wall.
Yep.
Yeah, so there's a few more things out here. This is a first year 67 Eldorado.
It looks like you have a second one over there.
And that's a 69 Eldorado.
So is that a project or?
It was going to be a project. Same old thing. I was probably going to put a CTSV motor and driveline under it. This one and that parts car ones that I'm not going to get to. So these are going to be going up online pretty soon. 1990 Audi V8 Quattro, which I started building 20 years ago as a reproduction of the DTM, German touring cars, 1990. It has a chrome molly cage in it. I have about 5 sets of body panels for it. There's a hood. That is free to anybody who wants to do something with it. It would make a fantastic drift car. It's got all custom built rear suspension. It needs a motor and a trans.
You don't get much cheaper than that. A free starting
Free
point.
to someone who's an enthusiast.
I get it, yeah.
I could imagine that thing with a turbo LS in it doing drift events with the 1990 Audi DTM livery on it. That would be super cool.
Well, you're a generous guy. Hayden has invited us to this cool workshop he's got here. It's like his playhouse. And it just shows that barn finds have no limit. This man plays all 88 keys of a keyboard in the world of barn finds because, we're looking at a Shoebox Ford over here, customized, and then we're looking at, 1,000 horsepower four-wheel drive Audis in the same building, owned by the same man who loves them all the same. I mean, I want to thank you so much. This has been a rewarding morning.
My pleasure.
Great day.
I think I'll close it out by saying I'm actually picking up another barn find tomorrow morning. A 1970 Opel Manta Rally that's been sat in a garage. One owner, bought from new on the lot. Owner passed away 10 years ago and it's been sat in his garage ever since.
Can you call my wife and see if she'd mind if I come home one day later than I am? Anyway, more to come. Happy hunting.
Thank you.